They say to leave no stone unturned in pursuit of speed, but in a quest for a title fight, round 3 of the Velocity Online Racing SF23 Championship, we're turning on Silverstone. Packed full of history, this airfield circuit has seen a variety of changes in the last handful of decades, but it's always been fast-flowing and the perfect place for open-wheel racing. 22 laps is the race distance today on this warm afternoon in Northamptonshire, England. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian D'Acuna after a long day and night of racing in iRacing's Daytona 24. We're back here for more with the VOR SF23 series at one of the most famous racing circuits on planet Earth.
Yeah, I was going to say there's going to be a big departure from what we were just witnessing from a slow, long endurance race over 24 hours. We're going here for a short, fast sprint here. Only 45 minutes on the clock, 22 laps to go here. As you can see, overview of the track and what these drivers are going to be facing in just a moment's time. Famous corners, Maggots and Beckett, Stowe Club. You probably heard these corners before because this track, as you mentioned, has such a renowned racing history. It's essentially the heart of Formula One racing.
Yeah, it really is. 5.8 kilometers, and it's very, very flat. Not a lot of elevation change at all, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any challenge. You mentioned Maggots and Beckett, those fast sweeping corners in the middle of the track, and then of course you've got Aintree a little bit earlier in the lap. That will set you up for a long run down to Brooklands. That's a good passing opportunity into left field, long right-hander. And some of these corners feel very long. Controlling the rear tire slip was a big deal at Fuji, Finian, especially in the slower corners. I think that'll be a challenge here today as well. Just keeping the rear tires under you on this warm day. 19C in the air, 31C on the racetrack in warming, so it could get a little toastier out there, especially without a lot of clouds in the sky.
Oh, 100% for these drivers here as they're rolling out here. Qualifying already underway. Patrick Silvassi going to be leading those standings. John Christensen also out there in second. Everyone else still getting down some laps. And a couple of drivers are going to be going off track. I think we're still waiting on times to come on in. Some drivers have put some times down, but they've not been clean ones.
Yeah, there's Patrick Silvassi in the number 17 working his way around course right now at the top of the board at a 36.7, and keep an eye on him here as we roll through, and just the corner speeds you're carrying here are just unbelievable. And then to the Maggots and Beckett, this is such a fun section. This is part of what Circuit of the Americas S's are modeled on, but of course not as much elevation here, which can actually make it harder because just sighting your apexes is a challenge, and you don't want to get a cut course here on the run down to Stowe.
Yeah, it's just a rhythm section. You get one corner wrong, you get the rest of that section wrong. And then that exit also so important because you have the long run down the hangar straightaway towards Stowe here. And that's also another great passing opportunity for drivers to get alongside one another. You see him working on through and actually looking like he might be up another 0.5 of a second according to our telemetry as he comes out of the final corner. Across the line, does he nail it? Indeed he will. He'll go up. Wow. 136.3.
Sebastian Kinder in the number 97, currently second on the board. And we do have Sebastian on our driver cameras here this evening. Here's a look at Sebastian in the number 97. And, well, he's going to get bumped down to third as Tijn van de Velde jumps up to second place. We also have Tijn on camera tonight. And I'm sure, just like us, I'll bet you a handful of these drivers were also in the 24. So given how we're feeling, can't imagine that they're feeling a whole lot better, although some of them might have run an earlier time slot than we did.
I was going to say they probably, if they did, they probably got a lot more time to refresh and get sorted out. Some of these drivers are looking like they're ready to go for just a little bit more. And I mean, again, like I mentioned, it's a completely different atmosphere, a 24-hour endurance race. You're taking your time, worried about, just getting the car to the finish. Here, it's just a full-out sprint from start to finish for these 45 minutes, for 22 laps that the guys will be out here.
Julian Altena jumps up to third place, winner of the first round back at Road America. Matthew Redford jumps up to the top of the board in the number 71 by 0.4 of a second. That's a very solid lap there for the driver from the United Kingdom. This is a home race for him, so that should be helpful.
I think he's definitely going to just have that expectation he wants to perform. Of course, every driver wants to win their home race, especially on an international scale. So for Redford, solid job there. We'll see if he can hang on here. Qualifying 3 minutes remaining as drivers are continuing to get out there, and the times are only going further and further down as he's the first driver in the 135s.
Gary Lovern in the 34. This is a new name, I believe, to this championship. We haven't seen him previously. And his way around to complete a lap, 146.91. That's not going to be representative. I think he'll have to go a little bit quicker, and he's going to bail out, and he probably will not get a time to run another.
If he gets out immediately, he will, but he has to go now with open qualifying. As long as he can start, as long as he makes it back to the start-finish line, he can finish that lap.
Like Forsyth, but wide here and ends up going straight into the gravel.
It almost looks like a disconnect, like a controller disconnection just went straight.
Gary Lovern did get back on course. He's going to have to hustle. Matthew Redford still on provisional pole. Julian Altena about a 10.5 back, 0.179.
Redford looking like he might have just put it down more. Indeed, he will. 135.798, down 0.2 of a second, making it that much harder for everyone else in behind.
Yeah, he's looking really good in his competition. Abuwezi is not here this week.
Yeah, I'm sure that he's probably a little bit happy with that, because then he gets the chance to shine here at his home race after finishing second in Fuji. I mean, second isn't bad, but of course, he, I think, felt just more defeated because Abuwezi just absolutely dominated in Fuji. It wasn't even close, really, since the drop of the green flag.
Well, and think back to Road America. He was battling for the lead with Abuwezi there and ended up tangling with him late in the going, so he's only gotten one represented finish. I'm sure he'd like another. Still up in the green right now. He could go quicker. And Gary Lovern has had another spin. Let's see what has happened to him here.
That might be it then. Kind of surprised he would spin, especially on his out lap. But I think maybe he went a little bit too wide. I believe working through Maggots and Beckett's. Yep. The exit.
Throttle up.
Around she went.
This is something that I pointed out is, throttle control here is a challenge because of all the flat corners. You don't have any banking or anything to lean on. And he's back on track. He'll be starting at the tail of the field, unfortunately. Here's Redford, Brew Club now, and he's up in the green. And there's no one else really threatening to take this spot away from him. So across the stripe, and it will not be an improvement. It's a 136 flat. Patrick Silvazi's up in the green as well, but I don't think he's in the green enough to take the pole away.
Yeah, we'll see if he can execute. Depends where he really lost out on a lot of time. Actually, he's almost going purple here in a second. This might be a good lap to watch for if he can just hang on. A couple more corners coming up. Has a little bit of slipstream from Kinder, who will pull off to the side, and here he comes through snow.
If the Hungarian's got anything for the front row, at least get him up alongside Redford for the launch of the green flag for this 22-lap Grand Prix. Club. And back up on the power. Let's see what Silvazi's got. He's in the green by, it looks like, nearly a second, but is it enough? It's good enough for second, 36 flat.
Solid. At least I don't think he'll be too disappointed with that. And Vanderbilt also just going ahead of Julian Altena, putting him back to fourth, and Vanderbilt up to third here. The final driver is coming on through Sebastian Kinder. Looks like he's going to call it a session. Cedric Holmbaum and Justin Christensen, the last few drivers out there on the track, but majority of the top five set. Redford looking like he's going to take pole by a fairly decent margin. And now the big question, of course, will be if he can hang on for these upcoming 22 laps. Can he execute and get that home win? Will it be similar to what we saw with Abuwezi at Fuji? Or could we see Silvazi, Vanderbilt, Altena, or Kinder come from behind and attempt to take victory?
All right, let's have a look here at the qualifying results for Silverstone here. Matthew Redford up on the top, as you mentioned, Finian, by 2.5 tenths. Can anyone keep pace with Redford? That's going to be the big challenge. And can you keep the car pointed in the right direction for all 22 laps? That's really the key to success. In such a small field like this, it takes the risk factor away. Go ahead.
Also, no, just this random thing. I love the order how everything's ordered. Honda, 2 Hondas, 2 Toyotas, 2 Hondas, 2 Toyotas, 2 Hondas in pairs for the first 10.
It's almost like we planned it. We did not. Here's a look at the rest of the order.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, man. You couldn't plan it any better than that. Yeah, that's satisfying.
Very satisfying to look at. I'm sure Matthew Bedford is very satisfied to look at the order.
I think he is as well. As have another look at the weather here as the session ticks over. Let's see what it is. Be 30C on the track in qualifying. We're going to have to warm up as well, but warm up a little warmer. So that will be something to keep our eyes on here this evening. All right, talking points. 22 laps, Finian. Where are the trouble spots? Looking at the track map again, my overtaking opportunities are certainly down into Club, but and Brooklands for sure. But what are some of the other places that can get you in trouble? Some of the fast corners, I'm sure, like Copse and Abbey, are inviting to go down the inside. But as we've seen in Formula One, that doesn't always go very well.
Yeah, I think that entire first sector definitely something to watch out for, especially on the Start Village, that part of that new section that's come with the repave and the reconfiguration of Silverstone just a couple years ago. That's going to be one of the biggest places to watch. That right-hand hairpin into a switchback, another tight left hairpin, then heading onto the straightaway towards Brooklyn. So that's going to be a big thing to watch out for, to see how these drivers get down. The cold tires, we talked about getting on the power, but combined with cold tires off the start, of course we have a standing start. That's going to be the big thing, is just trying to manage that, get the tires up to the right temperature without spinning yourself out and costing you a lot of time.
Yeah, the standing start piece, we don't do a lot of those here on SimTV, so it's always interesting to see how they pan out. And for some drivers, it's just been really challenging to get rear grip right off the launch. We saw that, I think, with Sebastian Kinder back at Road America. He spent the entire race clawing back what he had. So that's always something to keep in mind as well. As we get another look here at a couple of our drivers, this is Tijn van de Velde working his way around here in the warm-up. Whoop, he's going to go for a little slide there.
Saw in his eyes, he's like, oh.
Yeah, for Alton of VDVR Autosport, and he will get back. Well, what wheel is that? What wheelbase?
I don't know. I can't tell from this. It's hard to tell from this angle.
Yeah. It doesn't look recognizable to me, but he's sitting so perfectly still. Oh, there he is. Okay.
His seat looks a lot more comfortable than mine, I can tell you. Definitely something you can do a 24-hour race in comfortably.
I was going to say, the one thing about 24-hour races, like I haven't done one in a couple of years, and you really find out what's ergonomically wrong with your rig. It's actually pretty shocking. I mean, just the other thing, I have a death grip on the wheel, so like my thumb and pointer where they meet is super sore. My right shoulder as well, from pushing the wheel up to make those left-hand corners. So you learn a lot about what is right about your rig and what's wrong. And one of the things I learned is my seat's okay, but perhaps the way my wheel is in comparison to it, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, definitely my seat as well. I'm in a gaming chair, which is fine for, light sessions, do a little bit of gaming, a little bit of browsing. not for 24-hour race, not the best. No. It doesn't provide enough cushioning. And then also to my inner shoulders, I went to move my arms forward, and I just hurt from having my arms in the same position for such a long period of time.
So thanks for joining us here for the Velocity Online Racing Series here from Silverstone. If you're interested in joining this series, of course, we're a relatively small field today, but still recruiting, and we have had over 20. So there is still a plan for at least one other round. Circuit Zandvoort on February 4th, 31 laps there. If you'd like to join, you can head to the Velocity Online Racing Twitter, Instagram combination, and you can find out more on how to join and participate in this series. It's run very nicely, so make sure you check it out if you'd like to be a part of it and make these fields a little bit bigger as they were at Road America and at Fuji, because let me tell you, these cars, Connor and I, after the Road America race, were just blown away by how good they raced. We knew it was going to be good, Finian, but I don't think we expected it to be as entertaining as it was. And then even Fuji, while it was a quiet race for the most part, towards the end, things got exciting up towards the front.
Yeah, we saw, a lot of people playing it relatively safe throughout the race. Of course, they're saving the overtake system that these cars come equipped with till the end. And once they started to get on it, they really went after. We saw some fantastic side-by-side battling throughout most parts of the racetrack. and guys are just going at it, and it was clean. That was the big thing. They fought hard, but they also fought clean, and that led to some great moments, great final closing moments, not necessarily for the lead, but for almost every other position down the order.
Yeah, I wonder how chaotic this could be, because you can only fall to 12th place. So, you know, every time we see a smaller field, I always look at this and say, all right, well, I can only drop down so far, so my aggression level immediately kicks up to match that, right? Because, you know, you could sit back here and finish 5th or 6th and get a decent points day, but why not? This is a great opportunity to take a risk, especially for the championship. And speaking of, let's have a look, not that, but at this. This is the season points championship. Julian Altena for Altena Autosport is on top with 33 points to Hamilton Akabuezi for Indy Alliance Racing. But look at Tijn van de Velde there with 23 points. He has an opportunity to nab some points away, not only from his Team Alliance car, the Julian Altena machine, but without Akabuezi here, it certainly leaves opportunity open for Van de Velde to climb up some spots, and Matthew Redford in particular sitting on pole here. There's a lot of opportunity for him to grab some points when some of his rivals are not here.
Oh, and apparently we are doing a rolling start.
Oh,
I don't think that was planned.
Don't think so either, but let's see what happens here. I'm interested now.
Yeah, everyone didn't realize that until this very moment where they're gritting it behind the pace car.
Well, it was the first time for everything. I guess we'll roll with it, I guess, literally. And
well, this will get, at least on the bright side, these drivers just, you know, not even half a lap, quarter of a lap to warm up their tires, so maybe make the first couple of corners a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, it's certainly getting some tire heat will be easier, and I think I've long advocated for a full formation lap in order to heat up the tires and brakes to where they should be. But we're getting in a little bit of a non-traditional method here. So this race will take.
Hey, we don't have a warm-up lap. We don't have the formation lap.
Oh,
it's closest thing to it. Oh no.
That's Cedric Holmbaum. Oh, contact there in the back of the field with Sem Kolbeinsen in the number 15. So already some dramas. We'll nab that on a bookmark and look at it a bit later as the field works their way through. And round 3, the Velocity Online Racing Series, SF23 Series. Matthew Redford out front, Patrick Silvazzi alongside. Green flag flies, and we're racing here at Silverstone. Redford goes defensive already on the left, down into turn 1 here. Patrick Silvazzi side by side with Altena and Kinder. Kinder's going to have the preferred line here if he can stay alongside, heading down into Aintree here.
And you're going to see Tijn van de Velde, and you can see the roll loop flashing slowly already. He used just a little bit of the overtake to get ahead and secure second place. However, that's going to leave him out at bay to anyone else in behind that wants to use it down the lap. And he can't even use it down the straightaway now. He's just got to rely on the slipstream. Going to look to the inside of Redford here.
Here comes Van de Velde on the lead here, side by side into Luffield for the first time. Van de Velde on the outside, going to get squeezed there slightly. Silvazzi's going to have a run. And let's see if he hits the button or if Van de Velde will sit behind.
Here they go side by side. This may be a very familiar sight to some people. Side by side into Kops on lap number 1. They're going to fan it out and not result in a crash as we've seen in Formula 1 in the past. The 76 Van de Velde going to hang in very tightly in behind as they head through Maggots and Beckett's for the first time.
Really tight and tidy here for the top 4 at the moment. Patrick Silvazzi, Julian Altena watching from behind. Redford trying to climb up some spots in the points. Deserved a better finish than he got at Road America. Got a decent result at Fuji, but is still owed a victory. Here comes Van de Velde down the inside here again. Redford leaves him space, and the battle for the lead is still on.
I am amazed at how close the 76 is able to follow through some of these fast-flowing corners. High downforce and with these cars, but he's able to stick right up to the back of the 71 Redford. Couldn't quite execute as he's sideways in the back. Here comes Silvazzi going to take advantage of that and take second place away.
That was really dicey there for Van de Velde. He's going to lose a spot, maybe 2 here, because Altena's got a big head of steam coming. Cedric Holmbaum hits pit lane there, maybe to fix damage he got from that incident on the pace lap. And Silvazzi in second, but he's not keeping pace with Redford. I think Van de Velde wants to get back by quickly before Redford drives away, but he's already doing so.
And he's just going to pull back in behind. There's a spin in the background. Craig Forsythe around. And he's the number 99.
Gravel. Let's have a look at how this played out. He's just out wide, gets on the gravel, grass out there, and spins around. He'll carry on and continue, but down in 11th place. And then going back to the incident pre-race. Oh, just cold tires there. That's the tale as old as time.
I was going to say, maybe he was trying to go a little bit quick there to warm them up, but unfortunately resulted in a spin, but everyone rolled off the line.
Julian Altena started in 4th, remains in 4th, sitting behind Tijn van de Velde. This race is only going to be about 35 minutes. This is a pretty quick one because the high average speeds you're going to see here. Big bobble for Altena, still chasing the car across the road.
Ooh, that's a hard stopper right there, and he's going to lose a little bit of track to Van de Velde. Now Sebastian Ginder looking to see if he can take advantage of the situation. The yellow 97 car in behind, right behind. Essentially the top 5 all relatively close, within 4 seconds of the leader. Matthew Redford trying to see if he can drive away. 1.5 seconds ahead of 2nd place.
And more trouble for the 15. Kolbeinsen, who was involved in that pre-race collision. Oh! Too late on the brakes. Almost drilled somebody in the tailpipes and just went for the escape
Almost
path.
drilled Alexander Bonney, who was involved with the accident with Craig Forsyth earlier.
Ah, yes.
And just completely misses braking marker. At least he tried to bail out and make sure he didn't take out a fellow competitor, but he completely missed the braking point, but he will continue back on in 11th.
Cedric Holmbaum is out, by the way, as Redford is going to trek here through faster corners here at Copse and then into Maggots and Beckett's.
And what I find interesting is that we're seeing drivers being even more conservative with the overtake button than they were at Fuji. Almost no one else used the overtake these first 3 laps. Again, Van der Velde used it for a split second, I think maybe 3 seconds of usage on the initial start, and that was about it. Everyone else waiting patiently, I guess, for the time to strike.
Julian Altena, I wonder if he's got tire temp now after that scary slide he had at Stowe a couple of laps ago. He just chased that thing all the way across the racetrack. But there's a fine line between having your tires hot enough to stick to the road and overly hot to the point where they're skipping across it. And I think Altena was somewhere on the extreme end of either.
Yeah, that's always the worst thing, right? You're in a high downforce car, you're relying on that grip from the tires. That's the only thing meeting the road. And then it steps out on you, and as the driver, have a split second to react to correct the issue. Fortunately for Altena, he was able to keep it going the right direction, but I'm sure he probably had his heart rate accelerate and pretty much double in the span of a couple seconds.
Out front, Redford's last lap of 36.985. He still doesn't have a best lap recorded because he's gone off track at least once every lap of the race. But he is just driving away. 2.3 seconds now, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to deny him today if he can keep this up.
Well, I think he's got to be a bit careful because while there isn't an incident count penalty, there's an incident DQ limit, and that's 14 incidents. So you got to respect the track, otherwise you're going to be out.
He's got at least.
You don't even get the warning shot.
Got at least 3 already. We know that. Altena is closing in on Tijn van de Velde here. Let's see how much button they're going to use. This is a short race. I'd be using the button almost every time down the straightaway. And
for Altena, at least, he's using it.
Yeah, this race is short, right? We're under a half hour to go already as far as time is concerned. So I'd absolutely be on the button and use it up. You know, leave yourself 30 seconds or so, but I'd be on it almost constantly right now to take advantage early in the race.
I guess the thing is that because you can, you have that penalty, right, that 100 seconds of cooldown. I think what we may see is that you guys might wait for the last couple laps and just keep it on the entire time for the last couple laps. So we saw 2 or 3 drivers do that at Fuji because I guess they felt that was a better use of it rather than just using it a couple times and having to wait 100 seconds where you're essentially vulnerable.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. And Julian's going to have to sit and wait. Van de Velde, in the meantime, is going to try to put some distance on Altena. 0.3 of a second at the moment is the difference between them. It's the closest battle on the track. Patrick Silvazzi was a little closer to matching Redford's pace last time, 37.5 to Redford's 37.2, but the gap is still increasing.
So slowly increasing. And I have to imagine Savassi's waiting for something, right? Because I would have think that maybe he would have used a little bit of overtake just to kind of close that gap, manage that gap to Redford. But he's just keeping it calm. I guess maybe he's worried more about just keeping a gap between himself and Vanderbilt, as well as Altona, who are looming at not too far in the distance, 1.1 second in behind.
And the pace being set by Redford is just unbelievable right now. This is a driver absolutely in their element. You know, I grew up about an hour away from Watkins Glen International, and for one reason or another, I've always just clicked with that track because it was my home track. I did so many laps there, and I think Redford's in that right now as effectively his home track, just completely in the zone and clicking off really quick laps. There's a 36.994, his best lap of the race.
There you go, finally got a clean lap in at the very least to get that going for the 71. Again, he has to really be careful because we know he's out around 3 to 4 incidents from the off tracks, and any more, if he keeps at the current rate he's been going, he's going to get DQ'd, so he's got to be respectful of the white lines.
But now he's got a little bit of time, right? He's got 2.8 seconds, so he can start to relax a bit. Here's Julian on the button here.
He's got a huge amount of slipstream as well. Looks to the inside in Brooklyn and will get the job done.
Vanderbilt didn't really defend that at all. I wonder if he'll get on the button himself and try to rip it back, but looks very comfortable with where he is right now. Despite having started one spot better and having a run at the lead in the opening laps, he's very comfortable and collected looking.
I think we might see Vanderbilt maybe use it on the hanger straight away. I don't know if he's going to be able, if it's going to be, the cooldown's going to shut off by that time, but might be where he's eyeing to potentially get back at the 11 because he's definitely going to be vulnerable.
Six-tenths back. And
he's still on cooldown.
He will have to sit in behind Altona for a couple more laps at least.
Up and down finally went over. That's going to be so frustrating. I'm not sure if he's planning on using it or not. The cooldown ended at the end of the straightaway. It's probably the main straightaway you want to use it on.
And Altona is still cooling down. Let's see if his is done. No, so opportunity here. Effectively,
the cooldown is almost an entire lap here because it's 100 seconds. So that's 100. That's a minute 40, and they're running minute 37s at the moment. So basically, a little more than one lap from where you use it is where you're going to get it back up.
Throttling up and around through Aintree and down towards Brooklands and Luffield again. 4 seconds is the gap from Redford back to Silvazzi. But I think this battle for third might be the battle to keep our eyes on. Points pay out well here. This was the hot fight back at Fuji a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think Redford is slowly disappearing out of Zavassi's chances of getting back to him. So he's sitting in second, but I can guarantee you his eyes are focused on that mirror in behind with two fairly quick drivers lurking in behind him. Julian Alta and Time Vanderbilt.
So much on throttle time here. Just flicking the downshift and maybe lifting to let the downforce slow the car, but you're not daring to touch that pedal. There's the overtake there on Van de Velde.
Yeah, we were actually talking about this pre-race that these guys are clicking off fairly quick laps here. Yeah, the fastest lap during the British Grand Prix last year was a 1:30. That's in a Formula One car. These guys are not too far off. They're running the Redford's in the 1:36 in race pace.
And no one's going to say these cars are not quick. They are certainly lightweight, very, very powerful cars, very lively. And right when I drove these for the first time in the sim, I didn't know a whole lot about them. But my comparison was driving the IR18 IndyCar, which we can finally say again without getting duct taped and thrown into the back room. But my comparison was that the Dallara IR18 has similar power levels, but is way heavier, and you can feel it in the way that it drives. Where this car is just, it feels like you're driving a toilet paper tube. It just doesn't have any weight to it. It's long enough to be stable, but you can just light the rear tires up on exit if you want to. It's got tons of power, tons of downforce, and it's just a really joyful car to drive. But you have to be on top of it. It can get away from you quick if you don't respect it.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely need to respect it. It's lightweight, agile, very Japanese in nature. But ironically, this car is also designed by and made by Dallara, so very fitting to compare both of them.
I've gotten a chance to see the Dallara chassis factory, at least one of them, the Indianapolis headquarters at least. I know they've got Italy, they've got a factory in as well. But
I would assume so, because that's where Haas has their, they have a base, I think, near that facility, because that, for those who don't know, Dallara actually manufactures the chassis components that Haas designed. And Haas doesn't make it in-house.
Hunter Smith has just had a problem. And whoop. The exit of Maggots and Beckett's in the gravel trap, very well placed, I must say.
You can tell they know exactly where to place it, because I'm sure there's many drivers that gone off and went flying into the wall.
Yeah, but point being about Dallara, I've gotten a chance to see their Indianapolis facility a couple of times and gone to some events there. And one of my favorite things, we're dropping off simulators from SRO, and in the back room, or I guess they're shipping and receiving, there's literally just like 4-foot by 4-foot cardboard boxes that are just packed full of random bits and assemblies from what prototypes and what I assume is IndyCar parts, side pods and things, and it's just on there, written on there in Sharpie, side pods, and just they're stacked in there like chicken giblets.
So are those like parts of the current car or previous cars?
I don't know. I would assume that they're current, close to the door at least. But I just think it's really funny how they just throw them in a box haphazardly, like my electronics closet, just chucked in there.
Race car parts.
Yeah, and there's floors stacked up in the corner. It's just really neat. I'm sure there's a part of the facility where everything's like tagged and labeled very nicely, but I guess for
what's that one?
for brake ducts and things, you don't really need to have them. You just put them in a bin like Legos. Julian Altana's heating up Silvazzi here for second, but Hunter Smith and John Christensen, they're going at it for sixth.
Yeah, battle heating up further down the order. Heating up quickly here is the number 3, Hunter Smith, going to peel out to the left-hand, or the right-hand side of the track. Make a dive into Stowe, and we'll get it done. Christensen trying to see if maybe he can come back, but Hunter Smith still on the button, trying to defend, and we'll stay ahead.
And the little eagle car goes on through to sixth. That was my attempt at an eagle sound. Nope, that's a cat. I'm getting delirious. It's been awake too long. Oh, look at this pressure here.
Yeah, Altana's all over the back of the 17 of Selassie, and I think it's just a matter of time before he gets on by. That being said, though, he's still on that cooldown, has to wait. Selassie still has the chance to push the button and drive away if he wants, but I guess that's just showing that he just doesn't feel that threatened at the moment. He feels like he has control.
Well, I hate to tell him, but he does have pressure from behind. Even without that extra bit of power, the slipstream is enough to keep you close. And the problem is now with the aero wash here through Maggots and Beckett's, you can see the struggle this car has to stay tight to Silvazzi through these faster corners. He did lose a little time there, but when you get to the slower corners and the downforce peels off and they're not leaving such a big wake, you can follow pretty close in these cars.
You really can. Again, it's still surprising to me how close they can follow with bad aero washing. Bad, but not terrible enough to break up the racing. But you saw there the flashing from the rear of the number 17 of Selassie. Use the overtake a little bit to get away.
Now watch Altana here on corner exit of Stowe. Watch the track limits here. That's wide, and you can get a slowdown for running out too far wide there, so he's got to be careful. That will erase every bit of progress he's made on this car the last couple of laps.
It's because also tying to Vandervelde, he's not gone away. He's stayed relatively close. He's to the back of the 11. I think he's hoping to try to get some sort of slipstream to catch back up to not only Altana, but also Selassie up ahead in second. See if he can break into that podium spot here as these guys are working toward, just about towards halfway through this race. Matthew Efford just checking on him. He's using the overtake button. They try to get fastest lap, maybe.
Is there a mercy rule about that? He's just absolutely in the zone, as I mentioned earlier. He's clicking off laps. His best lap was a 36.9. He was only about 0.3 off that last time through. But a lonely lead here. He doesn't have the challenge that he had at Fuji or at Road America. But like I said, you know, he finished down at the bottom of the order at Road America, and that put his championship hopes kind of in the balance, especially with the consistency that we've seen out of Altena and Silvazzi and others. And a reminder of what the championship standings looked like coming into this race. It's Altena on top. He's got a win, but 2 other decent results. Hamilton Akabuezi won at Fuji. Tyne van de Velde, they're at 23 points, but Redford down in 4th place despite having a second on his resume. It was the finish outside of the top 10 at Road America that put him in that hole that he's got to climb out of now.
Well, definitely all one can do him wonders here as we're just past halfway, and Redford, speaking which, fastest lap, of course, with the assistance of the overtake button, 136.617 for him. And fastest lap by a wide margin. Next fastest competitor is Julian Altena, fastest lap, 136.9.
Tyne van de Velde closing in slightly on Altena here. It's 1 second back. He was about 1.3 back at the stripe. But he's eating into this advantage over Altena. And when Julian gets held up by Patrick Silvazzi, inevitably, that will leave Tyne with an opportunity to overtake.
I think that's the moment that he's really waiting for, right? Because at some point, these two are going to duel. I don't think Silvazzi is going to be able to escape Altena for that long. I think as soon as Altena tries to get back closer, and especially towards that one point in the race, you know, the last 4 to 3 laps, so then everyone's going to start using a lot more overtake and really start to mount the pressure, really start to make some moves that they're getting past the lap car.
Craig Forsyth, I believe, in the 99.
Yeah.
Sam Colbeck.
No, that's,
yeah.
Yes.
Nice little livery on this car. We didn't really get a chance to look at it.
Yeah, based on McLaren in Formula One, very fitting.
I didn't get through the last corner very well, but he is still less than a second back from Altena, and that's about the influence of the slipstream, is about, say, 0.7 to 0.9 of a second. He's just on the outside edge of it. When you use some overtake, you could really get into that 0.6 range, which is where you're going to feel the tug. And Altena's going to have to start looking in the mirrors rather than out the cockpit.
Yeah, you sort of feel the tug. You also feel just a little bit of the aero push, but again, it's not terrible for these drivers, and especially if you can just attack the corner in the right way in behind the aero wash, you can still make up some decent times. It's a matter of planning and knowing what to expect when running in behind these cars. But all 3 of these drivers are still very close together, all within 3 seconds.
Matthew Redford continues to lead 5.6 seconds clear of Patrick Silvazzi, who's doing a nice job on defense here from Altena. Was feeling that pressure earlier, but he's begun to distance himself just enough to stay out of the range. As I say that, Altena did close back in right as I was saying that.
Yeah, he used the overtake out of left field all the way back there, and
he's still on
through
it.
Maggots and Beckett's and still on it down the hanger straight here. I think he knows he needs to close his gap up and close it in tight. I think he's going to jump off now. There he goes into Stowe, but has made up quite a bit of the deficit.
Yeah, got back within drafting distance at least. Silvazzi is keeping an eye on that as well. When you look down in the relative box and you see, well, he's actually cooling down as well. He was on it, trying to keep Altena at a distance. And that's something that you'll try to do, right? If you have the ability to see that blinking green light in the mirrors, or you just watch that relative drop on the straightaway and you know that they're either in draft or on overtake, why not hit the button and negate that advantage that they're using over you?
Yeah, it looks like I was just checking for Altena. He has 116 seconds left of overtake, and I think he's been one of the biggest users. You can only imagine how much both Silvazzi and van der Velde have in comparison, who have been a little bit more conservative, especially the 17 Silvazzi. I think he's purely expecting both van der Velde and Altena to come at him from behind, so he's saving up that resource to use it later.
Well, and you mentioned we're already past halfway at this stage, 14 laps complete of 22. So you can't use it all effectively. You know, unless you turn it on and leave it on now. Maybe there's a strategy to that, like we saw at Fuji you mentioned earlier. But Altena closing back in 0.6 of a second back to Silvazzi. That's a dangerous proximity, I think. And both drivers back on cooldown.
I think they're definitely entering the danger zone as far as the 17 is concerned in that slipstream range. Riding on board here through Stowe. So satisfying when you hit it right, hit the apex, just get to the runoff.
You can hit it right?
I mean, if you're good enough, you can.
I wouldn't know what that feels like. No, this is one of those tracks. I really enjoy lapping this track. And actually, in the past, we've considered running some endurance races here on SimTV, hosting them. And this is one of the tracks that I had considered just because I really like how it flows lap after lap after lap. Despite it being relatively flat and featureless, I find it one of the more entertaining Grade 1 tracks to run.
Yeah, hot take, I prefer this version of the track more so than the previous one.
Yeah. Here comes Altena on overtake, right up to the rear wing of Patrick Silvazzi. Game on.
Yeah, and he backed out of it, so he's, again, can't really use anything now that he's gotten off the button. And I'm curious to see what's the response from Silvazzi. He's still running on his own power. The natural power of this engine is gone. Altena in behind as they hit through Cops. And right in tow, under half a second between these two.
And all he really needed to do, Altena, was just get close enough to use the slipstream. The slipstream is almost more effective than using the overtake button at times.
Yeah, but then you have times like this. Now Silvazzi in the 17, he's on the overtake and trying to maintain that distance.
But it's hard. He lost some ground because, like I said, that slipstream is so powerful. He's still on it. Now he's off. That will leave, I mean, if you're keeping track of when they disabled the overtake, that's going to leave Altena with a sooner opportunity to jump back on, but already losing 0.2 of a second.
And then again, you got to imagine the mind games. There's always a battle of chess when it comes to these systems, right? Because now Altena has the change. Okay, now he's going to get it back before they get to Cops, Brookfield, Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, and the Hanger Straight. So does he want to use it this time, or maybe just save an extra amount of usage for later on the race? Because you know everyone on the final few laps are going to be all over that button using the boost.
Altena's really close now. And he has not yet jumped back on overtake, so this next run down to Stowe, I think, is going to be his best opportunity, but he didn't get through Buffield very well there, I don't think.
Yeah, he's able to carry with just kind of get with a decent amount of slipstream, able to just stand behind. And he knows that the 17 can't use anything for just a little bit more, so he can use the slipstream as much as he wants as they hit through Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, here we go. This is going to be his opportunity here. He'll have to jump on the button very quickly.
There he is. And combined with the really powerful slipstream, here he goes. Will he be able to close in enough, though?
0.3, 0.2, 1/10. Now he's in the wrong place in a fast corner. And immediately, I think Silvazzi just jumped on it as well, didn't he? No, he's already cooling down.
I think he's already cooled down, actually.
Yep.
So he's not ready, and Altena, and this is that back and forth that you end up having with this kind of thing. I still wonder what Vanderbilt in the background has got planned. He's almost 3 seconds back.
Nobody challenging Redford, by the way. 6 seconds clear of this battle for second. And look at the run that Altena gets here. Where did that come from? Side by side. And Julian Altena squeezes by Silvazzi and takes second place away. Where did that come from?
Yeah, where did that come from? Let's take a look at that. I wasn't expecting a move in that corner at all.
I think he's just going to throttle up right there mid-corner. What a run there.
Whoa.
That was phenomenal stuff. And a little touch there, but he was fully alongside by that point.
Yeah, what that really shows is just a driver who can trust his car and just use that downforce to his advantage to rely on it, throw it into the corner, and get it done. So the lever will get it done all natural. No systems involved, no additional systems involved.
See if Silvazzi's got anything to rebound from that. I think Altena, and this has been kind of the case all 3 weeks so far, seems to get better by the end of the race. Just ran less than 1/10 off his best lap. Savazzi trying to keep pace with him here. I just think Altona's just got it dialed in right now.
I think he definitely has it dialed in, but the matter, really big question is, can he break away from the slipstream? Don't think he will be able to. That's going to be the one thing that's kind of on him. Now he's going to be the one. He was constantly looking out the front. Now he's going to be looking in the mirror. Watch that 17, trying to see where he goes.
Savazzi's in cool down. Redford is calm, cool, and collected. And Altona got to be careful that he doesn't end up getting the reverse treatment of what he did to Silvazzi a couple laps ago, leaving that door wide open. And maybe he planned that, saw that Silvazzi was kind of tracking out pretty wide on the run through the loop and set him up so that he could sneak up underneath him.
A half second between both of these drivers. It's been a fantastic battle for these final 2 steps on the podium. Ooh, a little bit of oversteer there on the exit.
Yeah, watch this for Altona here. I think you're going to see his hands go for a pretty big counter steer right here. Yep. Just snaps it back center and carries on, but Silvazzi's still within 4/10, 3/10 now. Oh, big slip there though, mid-corner. We'll lose him some time and gain him back some. The ebb and flow of this is just wild. And Altona's on the button and Silvazzi's on cooldown. That's not good.
It's not good, but again, I think Rossi is looking bigger picture here. I think his game plan is going to be, if he can try to just stay in the slipstream, use the natural overtake button, if you will, the slipstream to stay in tow with the 11, then to save all his usage for later on and just go full out attack.
Matthew Redford, 4 laps to go out front. Just absolutely clicking him off and away. No other close battles except for the one for second between Altona and Silvazzi. Altona stole it away a couple laps to go. Silvazzi is running out of opportunities to take it back. Altona, a bit of a slide there.
Oh.
And he might be overheating the tires doing that as well.
Yeah, might have gone a little bit too far into Village. I think he messed him up a little bit. Let's allow the 17 to reel him back in just a little bit. We always see that, right? You know, when the pursuer becomes the pursuee, you kind of lose out a little bit. You lose the what would you say, the carrot dangling in front of you.
Yeah.
You end up making more mistakes because you don't have a target to look at to kind of chase after.
Yeah, you lose the rabbit, right? And
there you go. I was trying to find the right metaphor. The rabbit was the one.
The carrot on the stick is there too, but the rabbit kind of setting the pace, and you're chasing the rabbit, and all of a sudden you are the rabbit, and it gets a little trickier. It's harder to lead than it is to chase, I think. Half a second, Silvazzi is back. And this is still close enough that the slightest mistake from Altona will leave him vulnerable to Silvazzi's attack here.
Counting down the laps now, 4 to go, and they come to the line, it'll be 3 to go.
Redford just clicking him away. He has led, I think, every lap so far, and
yes,
that will make complete another one. And Silvazzi close, 2/10 back.
Oh, this is within striking distance here. He can nail the first few corners here, might have a shot. He can pull out maybe to the right-hand side. Altona goes to the right-hand side and defends.
Is he going to try to do the same thing that Altona did to him? He's not close enough.
No, I think he's setting it up here for the straightaway. If he can get a decent run out of this corner. But both of them get a fairly similar run.
Grip limited there. You saw that car twitch.
And Altona weaving back and forth, trying to break the slipstream a little bit. They head into Brookfield.
And if Silvazzi can keep this distance, leaving Maggots and Beckett's, I think he's going to have the opportunity. Maybe Altona made his move too soon and is now the one on defense here as we get down to the final few laps here at the Velocity Online Racing Series SF23, round 3 of the season.
Into Kopp's nose to tail. And it's all going to be a whole push from here on out. When's the final push, really, I think is going to be the big question here.
Also the challenge of aero wash here, I think.
Silvazzi did a great job managing the aero wash, and Maggins and Beckett set up for the exits, and he's right there. Altona using the overtake to try to defend, but that slipstream's so strong.
Not able to complete it though, but he's going to have a run down here to, oh, he's wide. Didn't get a slowdown, coming to 2 laps to go. Big wiggle there from Altona.
I think Altona's starting to feel the pressure. It looks like he's overdriving a little bit here and there.
Under 3 minutes of racing to go. Oh, big wiggle from Altona. Here comes Silvazzi down the inside.
Couldn't quite get there. Altona squeezed him at the apex. But here he comes now back to the left-hand side. Both of them a little bit compromised there. Both of them struggling to get on the power, but they can't cannot get on too quickly. Otherwise, they'll loop the car around.
So close, but not close enough. And Julian had a really big tank slamper moment there at high velocity. I think the only thing that saved him was the downforce straightening the car back out. Had they been in a slower section, that might have been a loop. Cops.
Yes, might have.
Here we go.
Heading through 2 cops now. Still right in behind. You can feel the struggle for Silvazzi trying to keep that car on the racetrack.
Not as close as he was the last time around.
But Silvazzi is so good through this section. Oh, actually, as I say that, the poor exit this time by. Went in just a little bit too hard on the charge.
Gonna run out of time, because next time by is 1 lap to go. Matthew Redford's going to start his final lap in pursuit of his first win of the season. The battle and all eyes are focused squarely on second, and Tyne van de Velde not too far back if these two get together or have a slip or slide.
All right, well, final lap for these two. When you do it, when you get on the button for the final time and use all the power you saved up.
Now, I mean, I'd be on it right now. Silvazzi, great run there through the opening corner to the outside here, late on the brakes. Doesn't have the overlap yet. He's going to try to size him up.
Try to head through the inside, but you see Altona taking that offensive line, and both of them struggling to get on the power. You can see him twitching the wheel. Now there we go. So the 17 on the button down the straightaway. Altona not waiting, actually waiting for use. Here comes 17 with the charge. Does he move? No.
Yeah, that was a pretty critical slip there. That little bit of a shimmy he had in the steering might have cost him a precious 1/10 or 2 of a second. And I don't think he's going to turn that button off for the rest of the lap.
Oh, you can, because you can't use it again if you turn it off.
Altona's on it.
All or nothing at this point.
And Van de Velde's on it as well.
There Maggots and Beckett's for the final time. If Silvazzi can nail the exit, he might have something.
Oh, big push there. I think he tossed it away. Just following too close behind Altona there. Unless Altona makes a mistake, I think it's game over.
They go into Stowe for the final time. Any mistakes from these drivers? Whoa, Silvazzi a little bit loose in the background.
Matthew Redford was denied one at Road America. He was denied one at Fuji, but he will not be denied today. Matthew Redford wins at Silverstone of the SF23 series for Velocity Online Racing. Julian Altona survives the onslaught from Silvazzi. He will finish second, and podium Silvazzi will be treated in that 17.
Tyne van de Velde at the settle for 4th place. Wasn't quite able to get back at these drivers. And farther back, Sebastian Kinder is going to be coming to the line, running in 5th place to round out the top 5.
He has been doomed to be finishing 5th and 6th in every race so far this season. Consistency is great, but I think he'd like to be consistently 2 spots better. You can see the shrug there. Not a bad result, P5.
Yeah, definitely would have hoped for more, but definitely could be worse. He'll finish ahead here. Saunders Smith coming across the line in 6th place in the number 3 machine. We saw him. He had a great battle with John Christensen in the opening laps and winning out and way ahead of John Christensen, who's back in 7th.
Yep, and then the last 3 finishers, Alexander Boney in the 7, and then Gary Lovern and Craig Forsyth coming up at the tail. Trying to close in on Gary here, but I don't think he's going to get there in time. 1 second back.
Yeah, not quite close enough. Probably because you used another lap or 2, but he'll have to settle for 10th. It'll be the last points paying position for tonight.
And there it is, 10th place. Craig Forsyth and the last runner on the lead lap. 2 drivers out in this 12-driver race, but here's a look at your session results. Entertaining battle for second there between Altona and Silvazzi. That was the star of the show.
really was the star of the race, and it was a great battle to watch all race long. We saw some fantastic moves from all three of those drivers on one another. It all kept it very interesting there as Redford just set off into the sunset without looking back, and 9.5-second lead back to Altona.
Yeah, and Time Van de Velde probably deserves some praise as well. Nice consistent run. That'll be P4, and yet he had been running okay in the points, so be a decent points day for him. But Julian Altona should walk out of here still leading the points with amazing consistency that he has had so far this season.
Yeah, great job by them. Then Kinder, as you mentioned, Kinder, Smith, Christensen, Bonnie, Laverne, and Forsyth rounding out your top 10 in the points-paying positions for tonight. And trying to look at some big movers. Altona actually one of the biggest movers from 4th up to 2nd for him. And then our final two finisher, Team Colvinson in the 15, Cedric Holmo in the number 10, rounding out your field.
All right, well, Julian Altona comes home in 2nd, surviving an onslaught there from Patrick Silvazzi at the end, Julian. P2, a great points day. Didn't have anything for Redford today, but pace was good. You had a daring pass on Silvazzi through the loop at Village, and then managed to hang on to 2nd. Take us through your battle tonight after a rolling start, which none of us were expecting, and it turned out okay for you, P2 in the 11th.
Yeah, the rolling start definitely wasn't in the plans, but yeah, it was a good start. Just a bad qualifying lap put me there in 4th. Like on qualifying pace, I think I would have easily been on the front row. But yeah, it was still a decent starting position. Had a good battle with Patrick there during the race. Also made a nice pass on Tang, so that was good. I kind of knew when I made the pass on Patrick that he was going to give me space, because we raced each other quite a lot in VOR and other leagues we've raced together. So I kind of know how he races, and he knows how I races. We always try to get out alive, I guess is a good way of putting it. We don't want to murder each other's races, so yeah, I knew I could make that pass, and he definitely has one to make on me in the future as well, to kind of come back on that. But yeah, it was a good race. I enjoyed the battle with him. Just like I said, the starting position really messed up the race overall. It kept me from challenging Matt for the race win. I'm not sure if I would have been able to keep up with his pace, to be fair. Like, his race pace was looking really good. I'm not sure if I could match that or not, but yeah, it was a good race overall. Sucks about the turnout, but I guess with the 24, that's to be expected. I was expecting 4 more people to come, so we would have had 16, but yeah, I don't know what the reasons is for their absence, but we'll have to dig deep and see what the reasons for those absences was. Hopefully for the next race we can sort it all out, because I think everybody in this league who showed up today, especially, they all enjoy driving this car. They love the series. I think they all like the format as well. So I'm not sure if it's the format or anything that needs changing for more people to show up, but I'm happy to listen to suggestions on it to increase the car count. But yeah, I think the key people, apart from Hamilton, I could say, but I think those key people were here today, so it made an interesting race.
It sure was. Battle for 2nd was thrilling to watch, Julian. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you guys for broadcasting.
Of course, we'll see you. And Matt Redford, in a home race, finally gets one. Matt, this has been a couple weeks coming now. Back at Road America, we thought you had a car to win there. Certainly, I'm sure you did as well. And then at Fuji, came up just short, but today, not denied at all. 9.5-second advantage at a home track of sorts for you. Congratulations, and seemed like business as usual for you out front.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun race. I don't think I'm going to get much time. I'm going to rewatch the broadcast, but I don't think I'm going to get much time on it, considering I was just looking at the relative for most of the race.
Yes.
Julian and it was Patrick. They were going at it, hammer and tongue, and I want to see what happened back there.
It was great. It was a lot of fun to watch, but it was all happening behind you. And, take me through your strategy when you're out front by, 5 or 6 seconds. What's the strategy with the overtake button? Because we know the drivers behind were using it to find an advantage on the rabbit they were chasing. But how do you use it without someone to chase, without a rabbit to chase? When do you find it advantageous to be on that overtake button?
I think it's a mixture of like 50% strategy. So when the early stages, when Sebastian and Julian were battling, they were both on the overtake button and they kept leapfrogging a bit, and they were catching up slowly. I was like, right, okay, and I used it about 60 seconds. I think I used it for a full lap, or at least from the Welton straight down to Stowe. So I was just like, right, okay, and then I gained a second back, so I thought that's fine. And the other 50% is just like purely for like vanity, just getting the fastest lap. Just thinking I've got low fuel, I think Julian nicked the fast lap a couple of times, and I was like, I'm not having that, so I used it and just blitzed it for a full lap.
Well, you had the fastest lap by 6 or 7 tenths of a second, so job well done and well executed there, Matt. Congratulations, and we'll see you hopefully next week again. P1 tonight for the UK driver, the number 71, Matt. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers for the broadcast.
Thank you. All right, and with that, that'll wrap up the third race of the Velocity Online Racing SF23 series. As we mentioned earlier, if you'd like to join it, you can follow the Velocity Online Racing social media and get in on it for the next round, which will be at Circuit Zandvoort, Finney. And that should be a fun track with these cars in particular. Very, very narrow, but fast and flowing.
Yeah, I think it'll put on a great show for these kind of cars. You know, obviously, typically the main attraction is that final banked corner. It added so much to the racing, especially giving more of a chance for an overtake into turn one. But, you know, considering the way these cars race and the fact they can follow so close, considering Zandvoort's so tight and twisty, I think that'll allow these guys to put on a great show over there.
Well, that's going to wrap things up for this afternoon. Again, thanks for watching us here on SimTV. It's a very busy week upcoming. We've got the Area Cup Truck and Florida State Builders Pro Series this week. We've got Grid Life iRacers. We've got Washington, D.C. Region SCCA. We've got Full Send Sims all in the next 4 days, Monday through Thursday. So hope to see you there. And then we're back here next Sunday for Circuit Zandvoort. Thanks so much, Kyle Heyer with Finney DeCuna. We're going to go take a sleep now, or well earned after the 24 hours. We'll see you next time.